Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney Hisako Moore. I am a current drama student at NYU Tisch School of the Arts, and I am representing Contemporary Asian Theater Scene today, CATS, a nonprofit AAPI arts organization based in the SF Bay Area. Today, I am so excited because I have a cast member from the Broadway run of Life of Pi here with me to talk about her experience as an artist in the AAPI world. Today I have Nikki Calonge. Thank you so much for being here. We are so honored to have Nikki today. You portrayed the tiger, Richard Parker, in Life of Pi, and I saw it myself. First of all, congratulations. It was extraordinary. I was so mesmerized the way all of you puppeteers worked as a team to create this life-like being in the middle of the ocean was absolutely astounding. So congrats.
Thank you. Thank you. I miss it already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Life of Pi just closed this past Sunday, but you are embarking on a national tour. So everyone get your tickets for that. It is amazing. Please see the show. I was wondering, could you tell me a bit about your own personal journey as an artist prior to Life of Pi?
Okay. So I think I'll try and frame this like through like my training and like time and geography. But if I go wayward, then hopefully it's helpful. But I I'll start with being born in the Philippines. Like I was born in Quezon City, Philippines, and I came to the States when I was, I guess, like 4 or 5, and that has been and from there we had moved to Northern Virginia, and my family is deeply connected to Filipino culture. Like my father is a diplomat, my mother is an immigration lawyer. So I think I really want to include that because it's something that I think has shaped my relationship to the arts, actually, or like my artistic identity, this kind of trajectory or almost maybe distance from where I was born to where I am now. And then I went to NYU for theater. I went to ETW and Playwrights Horizons Theater School, where I'll be teaching again this semester. I'm really, really excited. And from NYU, I did a lot of downtown theater. Oh, this is really important to me. I studied dance and puppetry in Bali. So like one of my big study abroad was wayang kulit and menari in Bali, Indonesia. And the more that I think about it, that was very much a religious study for me because a lot of that work, that craft is related to like Balinese Hinduism. So like everything that happened there was related to maybe a ceremony or a story that I was learning about. And then after graduating at NYU, downtown theater, dance theater, puppetry, like lots of self-produced work, and like basically doing things that I was like invited to do and like asked to do. And then somehow I made it to Life of Pi through all of those many beautiful channels.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for speaking on that. I love how you touched on how important it was to carry your culture with you through your training and as a performer.
Yeah, it was basically a whole it was like a very important like 4 months where like I had done a training in Thailand. I went to the Philippines for a little bit. There was like training in Bali. Like there was a very big like congealing, like lots of information and lots of training happening all at once. And I think that has somehow like informed, and of course like informed what I do and how I see the work that I do today.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Mhm.
I was wondering, at what point in your life did you decide you wanted to become an artist and potentially pursue Broadway?
Okay, let me think. I I don't know if it was intentional, as in like I didn't say to myself, I want to be on Broadway. That's not necessarily something that I put out into the world, but what I did commit to was like a life of performance and expression, and performance and expression as an act of healing and survival. I think survival is actually like a very, very important um, like baseline or like depth that I think I have to like really source from a lot, because there are like a series of moments in my life, um, like I guess like graduating or like creating theater, that I was like, okay, like this is helpful to me. Like all of these things are helpful to me, but they might not necessarily have been like intentional. Like it was just something that I felt like was right to do. Um, when I was actually, and I'm like, I'm also realizing that like I have had like a lot of head trauma, like injuries and impact on my head. Like I remember like stories as a child of me like falling. Like I had done cheerleading in high school, so like there were things where I would just like I would fall from being lifted. Like freshman year of college, I was like very sick. Like there was like I had basically like fallen ill in my freshman year of college actually. And then like when I had graduated, I had like fallen off, or like I like had a bike accident, and then like I basically had like temporary and short-term amnesia and memory loss. And there was something that I just kept performing. I basically just kept performing. Like that was something to me that like engaged me in a way, and also stretched me, and also helped me keep going just in my daily life. So I did commit to that. I committed to performance as something in my life.
Well, I'm so sorry you went through that, but that's so beautiful that you found healing in your craft.
Yes, yes, and that it's a craft, and it's something that yes, that like I've worked on, and that it aids me in like daily life. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
even think when people like, I don't know if like if you or like if you've known anybody who's like dealt with memory loss, like there's this idea of like confidence that like I remember like standing in the grocery store and just like kind of like looking at the honey and like crying and being like, I don't even know what honey I want, like I forgot. Like, but there's something about theater that's like, no, you have to memorize this. You have to know where you stand, and you have to be able to do this constantly every day. And not just that, but like engage my body. Like I've like chosen to do things that engage my whole body. Um, so I feel like, yeah, like it helped me like regain confidence in who I am, I think.
That's so inspiring. I love that so much. That again, you use this craft to heal. I feel like there's an expectation a lot of times of, oh, you have to be this certain way, and an expectation of you have to be this to pursue theater or like be
Yes,
ready for theater.
totally, totally. And that like making it work for you. Like theater, I think at its worst, you like are like you like let it like like lord over you, like in like, and say like, oh, I'm not worthy of this, oh, I didn't get cut, or I got cut from this, or like I'm not that type, or I'm not like I don't have the skill to do that. And then at its finest, it's like you are like, well, then I'll write this for myself, and I'll insert myself in this, and I will make this part for me, or I will like make um or I will make a dance, or I will make a poem, and I will make a song. So very like kind of creating your own medicine, like being responsible for your own healing.
I love how you create your own agency. But how did all this preparation we're discussing eventually lead to performing on Broadway in Life of Pi, this iconic story. And can you also speak about what the casting process was like?
Yes. Okay. I have notes for this because I wanted to remember and say it. Okay. So I think preparation, there was very little I could do to prepare for something like this. The amount of, I kind of came on the tail end of auditioning, basically. Like they had gone, like I was one of the last people to have been cast. And basically the audition process is like you go into the room and there's a mock-up of a tiger, and that they'll ask you to be like the head and like hold it. And you have to do a lot of fine motor things with like the jaw and like the ears. I don't know, I never did it. And then they put you in the heart, and just to see if you can do that. And for me, I was the hind, so even just like managing the back end of the tiger and like holding the poles. And my preparation, I think, was just a basic understanding of my body. Like I had very little idea of what it was like to puppeteer as like a trio, like that's more Bunraku style. And I have less experience with that, or nothing of that scale. But I was able to, you can see when somebody can have their center of gravity low enough that they can maintain it for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, like 2 hours. Because you don't want somebody who you have to you don't want somebody who can't maintain that throughout the show. That is something that you can, is just kind of apparent with the puppet. And it's a shape thing. Like there's who can fit inside a tiger? And granted, that's kind of a big range. It turns out like you can be, like 5'7" and fit in there, but still like you can tell if somebody has to constantly adjust or condition to be in there. And I also, I could be wrong, but I think there was intentional POC casting. I think there was something I remember reading somewhere that I was like, oh, okay, like they're looking for puppeteers of color. And sometimes you also have the term in the Tagalog is like kababayan along the way. You have like people, like your country people along the way. And I just remember, I'm going to say his name, Patrick Marvia. Like he was a casting agent for Whitney Stewart. And I just remember him saying like, oh, you're from the Philippines, or like you're Filipino. And I was like, yes. And he's like, I love seeing Filipinos succeed. I remember him saying that, and that I just like going into that room and like having that experience, like meeting him and also just touching the puppet and getting low down was really like kind of a boost in the butt.
That's so fascinating. Like, for those of you who don't know, in Life of Pi, there are 3 puppeteers and you all have to work together as a community to bring this tiger to life.
And that, for like clarity also, there are, toward the end of the run, 9 puppeteers as a team for 6 tracks. And just to give like a quick thing, because I want to make sure that like it's, because like really emphasize that it's a team, like it is a whole team of puppeteers just like constantly doing like a Rube Goldberg machine of like setting things off all over the stage. But there are 3 people that operate the tiger, and OJ, which is an orangutan, and that there are also, and then the other puppeteers also fill in all the other many animals and objects of the show.
I mean, I even heard like you have to get it down to how does a tiger breathe? It's just every second counts.
Every second counts. Every second counts. And that breath is also for our communication, because we can't talk to each other while we're there. Like we have to use the breath. And this will go a little bit like more technical, like, but it's basically like there's like weight and muscularity in the puppet. There's focus, like focus and thought, and breath, which is life. So those are like really, really general concepts that we have to that we are like really working with and playing with. And like the breath is like not just, you know, like to demonstrate its aliveness, but like I hear if say like Rowan or JD or Fred or John are like I can hear like if they're gonna like there, that's a prep for me, like I have to hear them do that.
I can't imagine the amount of work that takes and just how in touch you have to be with your body and yourself. Oh my gosh, it's just, I am in awe. Your journey has just, it's been so beautifully articulated, and it's feels so intricate and so many paths in your journey. But I also want to give space to the obstacles and barriers you may have faced as an AAPI artist. So I was wondering if you can elaborate on that and how you personally overcame those and continue to do so.
I think aside from, because I think there are so many stories of being like cast as a maid or like a nanny, or like I feel like there have been those where I'm just like, oh, okay, like I guess I will represent an immigrant story for this video or whatever. But I feel like the first thing that comes to mind was like one, and I don't know, maybe this might feel a little bit, this gets a little bit complicated for me, because when I was training in Bali, I remember there was like this parade that they were doing. It was like for their university, like EC Denpasar, which is like the arts university for the Arts University of Denpasar. And that's where I had been studying puppetry. And there was like going to be a whole like parade or promenade of people. And I remember like being like, oh, I have my like little like young Nikki being like, I have my puppets. I'm ready to like operate my puppet, because I remember feeling good about it. Like I was like, I want to be toward the front. I want to be part of this parade. And I remember that they had put me in the back or like somewhere hidden, like toward like a bigger like float type thing. And my like a white classmate of mine, they put her toward the front. And I remember crying to my mom, like, and just being like, why wasn't I at the front? Like, why couldn't I do, like, we were in the same exact program. We were in the same exact training. We were doing the same exact, like we were doing the same exact work. And I just remember like bawling and crying. And that was something that like, for that parade or whatever, like they had to show that they were like attracting like that kind of like diversity in their training, that people were coming from all over the world to get that training, like, and that I looked like I was Indonesian, like I have, like I'm like Southeast Asian. So I don't know, I mean, like it feels really complicated, because like there's something where like I just didn't feel seen for who I am, like, which is like craft and skill, and puppetry. And I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily like a barrier or an obstacle, but it felt like something that like really broke my heart, that we're constantly, that there are things that are just so cosmetic and so surface and so like just so I don't know, I don't think performative is the word, but like there is like a performance of like oh, this is what casting is, or this is what represents us. But I don't know, I guess I just felt like I wasn't seen for who I am, or what I cared about, and that I was like good enough to be toward the front. Yeah, I don't know, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And I think we're constantly dealing with that no matter where we are. Like, I think that could be behind like an audition table. I feel like that can be, you know, like, yeah, that happens in work. So.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds so isolating that you felt like you were put in this box and not seen for your skill that you've worked so hard to craft and continue to grow. I mean, unfortunately, there's so many of these stories, but then it's so inspiring to see you on stage on Broadway and Life of Pi in a show that celebrates AAPI culture, and an all AAPI cast has been so beautiful and inspiring for me. I was wondering, do you have any advice for other young aspiring AAPI artists?
I was just talking to a friend about this because I have a lot of bad advice. Like, I only have like bad advice. Like, yeah, like risk it all, follow your heart. Like, don't, you know, like, but I think ultimately, because it does seem like a gamble. Like, this life is a really big gamble. There is a lot of risk involved. There are a lot of challenges. There is like fear. There is like constant self-doubt. And there is one there, I forget who said this. I think I heard it from somebody who is like a climber, but you have to commit and then plan. Like, first commit and then figure it out. Like, there's that. And part of that is like not giving up. Like, I don't think that I'm like, I would say like safe or comfortable even in my performing arts life. But I am getting to know myself, and I have so much support on this weary journey. Max Webster, I think, the director of the show, I mean, like he said in an interview, like it's really rewarding, this life, but you also have to know where your supports are. So like, I have my people on speed dial. Like, I have like people who I know who are like going to help me, and who like understand me. Like, I don't get advice. I don't get critiques from people I wouldn't get advice from. Like, that's a big one. Like, people can say whatever they want, but if I'm not going to go to them for like really like valuable guidance, then I water off a duck's back. Like, that can't hurt me right now. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, don't get advice. Don't get critiques from people you wouldn't get advice from. Have your people on speed dial. Eat well, sleep well, meditate, exercise. Boom. I think it would be irresponsible to go into this and not think that it would be difficult. I think people say it all the time, and that the glamour is real. But you have to remember why you're doing this.
Going back to Life of Pi, such an amazing show. Once again, get your tour tickets. It's so inspiring to see a show that features an all AAPI cast and highlights that experience of, we were chatting before about immigration and family culture, but also just this inherently universal and very human story. It's so beautiful. And in your opinion, what kind of impact do you think shows like Life of Pi make in the AAPI community?
And also, for clarity, like, it is the largest AAPI cast of a play on Broadway while it was running. It's like, I also know that like Here Lies Love, K-pop, like all that, they're like, I think those are like many or all AAPI. And we have maybe like a large AAPI and specifically South Asian cast. I just want to put that out there for clarity because I think it really matters, like that representation of like South Asian like stories. And for me, like, I guess when I think about, I wonder about the impact, like for somebody who is like, I am Asian American, I am Pacific Islander. I think about my niece, or like I think about young people. There is an athlete, his name is Chris Mosier, and he says, you be the person you needed when you were younger. And I think that that's a lot of what this story brings. I'm sure that like all the pies, Sonia, Uma, Haran, Adi, like all the people who have played pies, like I'm sure they get messages that are like, thank you, like thank you, like thank you for bringing this show to life. I guess like just to tidy up that thought, I mean, I think I think of my niece, and I think of like myself when I was younger, and like would a show like this, and I feel like from top to bottom, from front to back, from puppets to actors, that has so many different identities and Asian American identities. I feel like that would, I hope that stirs something up in possibilities for audiences.
To take it further, how can theater as a craft, as this art, strengthen that identity and create stronger AAPI representation?
When we think about identity, sometimes like the word that comes to mind is pride. Like I do definitely think about queer pride, like brown, like my brown, like love and pride for myself, like and I wonder, like because speaking as a puppeteer, there are ideas of not being, there are like, there is a play between visibility and invisibility. There is a play of like being like, I am putting this object, this like animal before me. But at the same time, this doesn't exist without me. Like there were so many, and there were so many times when the puppeteer team had to like fight for their credit, like in all sorts of publications or like appearances. People had to say like, that, you know, that's not a real tiger. That exists because we're there. Like that exists because we're able to help it, you know, like because we're able to, you know, manage it and like and cooperate with each other in order to make it move. Like we dream we can. So I think there's this kind of play. I think there's like it's that conversation where like, and that doesn't we can bring something forward and at the same time, oh, that's fun. Okay, someone's gonna get that. Like, and at the same time, like make, like just remember our own importance and our own value. And that's like from top to bottom, like as a puppeteer and as an actor. and maybe even in more positions of like idea making, or like as in like producers, directors, like more playwrights, more stories.
Well, thank you for speaking on that. That was great. Thank you. And as you mentioned earlier, there definitely has been steps taken in shows such as Here Lives Love. There's a lot more representation now on Broadway. But still, as of 2022, only 6% of Broadway shows featured Asian American actors. Yeah, although this number is increasing and has increased from previous years, there is still a huge discrepancy. So I was wondering, why do you think this is? And like, do you see this changing in the future for AAPI artists?
I'm gonna speak specifically from like my understanding of puppeteering, like, but I think there are, I mean, like, or maybe it's like for all of them, there are like legacy networks, like affinities, like friends hire friends. Like that's like, I mean, that's a lot of how it is for downtown theater. And I think like even on an anecdotal like note, like I have like puppeteers that I know that like have really let me express myself, like Maria Kamiya, Leah Ogama, Asian American women. And there are many, many more, but friends hire friends. And if it weren't for them, like I wouldn't be able to like be in like the theater that I like being, because it goes both ways. Like I really do think it goes both ways. Like from what I understand, like some of like the higher paying or like more visible projects, like I'm talking about like media, film, television, like other like maybe like bigger performances or shows, like that's kind of a boys club. And I think it goes both ways. It's like, do I necessarily want to work with them? Do they know who I am? Do I know who they are? So like what I really am impressed by, say for Life of Pi, is that like I'm like I felt very like seen for my skill and my my skill and ability, and that really made a difference. But in terms of like this self-produced or like networks of performance, like I think it's really important that if friends hire friends, we need to make more friends. Like we need to keep like seeing who we're not friends with, or we're not like we're not in contact with.
I love that, this idea of uplifting each other. Yeah, we need more friends.
Yeah, we need yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's not much of like a yeah, that's like that's a hope for a future that is changing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we are seeing more works by Asian American playwrights that are featuring stories and themes on the Asian American experience and immigration, assimilation, clash of cultures. Can you comment on the future of AAPI theater from an artist perspective?
I can only hope that there is an understanding of how this industry works. Because there's a difference between like theater and showbiz. Like that's been really alarming to me, actually. Like we talk about skill, we talk about craft, we talk like there's a lot of heart and stuff like that. And then there's the idea of like, well, what's gonna pay and what's gonna get me money? And like we're constantly like me, like in my everyday life, I am constantly ethically compromised. Like I don't even know if oat milk is good. You know what I mean? Like there's stuff that I'm just like, what? Like, is this a good idea? So my hope is that like with all the things that we're like learning about ourselves and each other, and then like what is a community to each of us, that we get right with ourselves. Like I just think that like that has been an ongoing journey. The sweet sounds of Brooklyn. Like, can you hear? And so like the idea of like, yes, like anything's possible in the theater. I'm not worried about dreaming big. I'm not worried about people's visions. I'm not worried about people's abilities or like even like the ways that they can like embrace like the love that they have for the game. What I do get concerned about, or what I do hope, is that we position ourselves, we as an like AAPI identifying artists, in a place that is secure, safe, loving, joyful, nurturing, and fulfilling. That is my hope. That is my real like hope for the future.
And do you see AAPI theater impacting society's understanding of the AAPI experience?
Well, the hope is, because there are many different types of theater as there are people. And there are many different types of like the experiences, like API experiences, as there are like people. So I guess the understanding of an experience is so personal. It's just so personal. Like I think that if we can keep theater itself like alive and buoyant, like I feel like theater itself is such like a game changing, like live expression, live theater. Oh my God, live performance. I think it can't. I mean, I think it can. I don't know how. Like, I think that's like a very broad thing. But yes, I do think that like if we can bring more people, more voices to the table, it will impact like how people view the experience. Or yeah, I'm sorry, that's like very like kind of broad, but like I'm kind of just stuck on the idea that like I don't know if people feel like they can go to the theater again. So
One last question. I know you spoke on creating more friends with our community and uplifting each other, but how do you see opportunities for AAP artists evolving in the future, and how do we ensure for further representation?
I am a big fan of local and homegrown. I'm like a big fan of like staying in my neighborhood, and I'm a big fan um of like amateurism or like folk arts. And I go like this because I just think like it's a designation that we put on things that we don't deem worthy of being elevated necessarily. But make theater, make it small, make small things, small, cute, fun, 5 minutes, who knows? And I feel like to ensure that our stories, my story, like your story, or like all our different expressions keep going, we have to keep generating, we have to keep creating. And in order to just like, and I don't mean that in an output kind of way. I know that sounds very like make it, produce it, do it, da 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 da. Like hopefully like the act of doing it gives you something back, but also like hopefully the act of doing it is manageable, and hopefully the act of doing it is an indication that you are in a good place. Like the act of creating theater, or the act of writing, or the act of making friends or networking, or the act of like being able to perform or train for a show, like the act of weightlifting, or the act of like stretching, or the act of preparing. Like it means that you are in a good, safe, happy, healthy, full, whole place, so that we can keep going, so that we can keep like making it happen. Because the only reason, I mean, like just like the reason why I'm here like talking to you is because I could take care of myself enough. I'm not saying I take care of myself fantastically, but like I can take care of myself like enough that I could keep going, because I kept going just enough so that I could show up at that audition. And then even there, I kept taking care of myself enough so that I could perform, because at any point we can, like we are like, the spectrum of ability is so like, it can be really wide and then it can be really narrow. Like I can be not working at any point, or not working with my body the way that I'm used to. So just like, I feel like care and attention is the only way that we can ensure that kind of, representation, fulfillment, storytelling.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful. I love how you've just spoken so beautifully on cultivating your craft while also taking care of yourself and what that journey looks like. It's just so beautiful. And the fruits of your labor, I mean, just Life of Pi is so amazing.
No.
You were amazing in it. And thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And just telling your story and letting aspiring AAPI young actors know that there is a place for them in theater and that will continue to grow. So thank you.
Yes, keep going. Yes, 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 yes.
Well, thank you so much, Nikki. And thanks everyone for watching. And you can see Life of Pi on tour.
Thank you.